thoughts. Um,
Tracy
okay,
had a comment.
I'm
Don't
sorry,
know if you saw
Tracy,
it
go
in
ahead.
the chat about cybersecurity. She said, could cybersecurity not evolve to assist with the web privacy issue?
All right, I'm going to let people smarter than me that are CIO types. Walt Carter, I don't know if you have a thought on that from a cybersecurity standpoint or other folks.
Yeah.
Are you implying, and this is for Tracy, are you saying that cybersecurity independent of AI, or you're talking about cybersecurity using AI?
So cybersecurity using AI.
Oh
So we're
yeah, I
talking
mean,
about the independent model of downloading it and just running it specifically just on one device, right? But then you start thinking about, okay, then is it going to go to a point where we're talking about individual licenses per device, right? And if that's the case, and you have a corporation of multiple people and hundreds of them using devices, and then you have hundreds of licenses.
it's
So can we
yeah.
not? Yeah, that's
No, I understand. I think it's going to follow the classic enterprise models that we've seen, introduced over the years. Is that, look, you'll be able to buy a personal copy that'll give you some level of cybersecurity, but if you're a business, you're going to get the enterprise class, which is going to be just like mobile, iron management now, where you can, manage the devices of, I can remotely wipe a phone, I can, mobile device management activities, to protect and restore and recover. So I think those are just table stakes. It needs to be able to behave in an enterprise environment for adoption to occur. If you limit it and it's just down to an individual machine, I think that's going to be more of a problem. Um, at a personal level, it's fine. I think, and I wish Amy Goldsmith was on the call, but I think that the laws and guidance that we have on how AI can be implemented at the government level. I just posted in the chat the AI.gov website, which doesn't really say much, but um, I think those are things that need to be flushed out. There's going to be a lot of case law, and that's winding its way through the courts now. The copyright system is broken because of AI, and I think that there's a lot of the writer strikes that happened a couple of years ago, and these are all geopolitical concerns, but at the same time, legally, the system moves slower. And you get individual state regulations, you get country regulations, all these things have to factor in. So it's too early to say how it's going to take shape, but I can definitely with certainty say that cybersecurity/AI will continue to evolve, and align around privacy concerns.
got
So
it.
let me, yep, thanks, Tracy. Let me drop back to Walt again. I know Walt has some thoughts on this. Walt was CIO of the year for Georgia, so he certainly is highly qualified to talk about this area. Walt, you want to take a stab at
Yeah,
it?
I'll just I'll just jump in and say, in talking to a lot of my peers, uh, this is one of the toughest areas. What is the appropriate level of governance to avoid, being in the newspapers with, a big data loss or data breach. And and at the same time, you're getting a lot of pressure as a CIO to use these tools and put these tools in play so that your folks can benefit from the power of these tools. And yet it is so unclear at this point of what the best lockdown strategies are. I mean, what seems to be emerging right now is small data sets, not large, contained, not accessible to the internet, other than unidirectional. I need to be able to pull from the internet, but nothing needs to be able to go out. And that's a harder thing.
I want to comment something if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm new here, so I don't know how much do you expect me to talk, but I have so many topics around this, and I'm sure everybody else as well. But it's just so fascinating me, and now I'm facing a lot of challenges around it. But I think in general, what freaks out CEOs and decision makers in companies is that AI is perceived as some kind of a magic tool, as a magic wand that can elevate their business, improve their everything, and that's how they look at it. Instead of thinking about this as another tool in their arsenal, practically like we used to do with other tools like cloud, like distributed computing, things like that, that required the same level of due diligence before implementation or before taking the decision to embrace the technology within your company. So I think in general, if the mindset will be to look at it as a tool with all the risks that comes with it, if it's cybersecurity risks, if it's cost, right?
What the CEOs are facing. You run a competitive analysis of you versus not just your company, but other companies in your industry that are using AI, and how are they using it better than you are? And you can get some pretty interesting insights. That's what we do when we talk to a customer is, what are your competitors doing to you? And one of the ones we uncovered, interestingly enough, recently, and it had to do with a automobile company that was closing deals. What an automobile company, but we'll call it that. And they were closing deals in 11 days. But their number one competitor that was 50% better than them in the market could close a deal in 9 days. Okay. And so the first thing is you've got to beat that guy. You got to go from 11 to 7. You can't go 11 to 9 and think you're going to keep up. So those are some of the things that you can pick out to say, all right, here's my competitive situation.
And I think what was just brought up is that the CEOs are having a separate conversation about AI. It's not about, do this or die, right? It's they see that the bigger players are out there. They're seeing the level of investment from, just reading the paper, watching the news, right? They're hearing all this stuff. It's worked its way into almost every item at night. You can hear something about AI. And so they're still wrestling with, how does it affect me? How does it affect my business? What's keeping me awake at night? Where's the pain point? Competitors and taking advantage and leapfrogging competitors and gaining more market share. These are all the drivers that drive the CEO. And it may also drive others like the CFO and the CTO, et cetera, right? But I think in general, that conversation